Hello, everyone.
Hello, and welcome to Why Can't We Be Friends podcast.
I'm Sally Dale.
I was thinking we were going middle names. I thought, that's not your middle name. I'm Holly Feltz.
Do you normally introduce yourself to people as Holly Ann?
No, but you like to always go, Holly Ann.
Well, that's
what
true.
Are you doing?
You do love the South, though, so I feel like if you wanted to transition to a double name.
I could do it.
My mom's family is from Texas. Mm-hmm. There's a lot a lot of double names. We've got a Jimmy Joe, Larry Lee, Timmy D.
Those are real?
Those are real names.
Those are magical. Yeah. Jimmy Joe?
Jimmy Joe. I had a daughter, Timmy D. And then there's another Larry Lee. There's a whole.
Those are so good.
Yeah.
I love that.
There's a Tina.
Tina?
Mm-hmm. Not Tina.
Tina.
I have cousins. I don't know if they listen to this. Sarah and Megan. I'm not making fun of your mom.
No, those are great.
Yeah.
I love a good Southern quick name. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Joe. Jimmy Joe, get in here.
I know.
I love that.
Yeah.
It just
You're in constant trouble if your name is Jimmy Joe.
Yes.
Andrew really wants to name our third child, which we are not pregnant right now, by the way. Really wants to name our kid James Robert and call him Jimmy Bobby. And I say, absolutely not. I'm not going to have a baby and call him Jimmy Bobby. He goes, Jimmy Bobby Dale? I was like, absolutely not.
That's a future NASCAR star right there.
I know. And that's why he's like, it
Jimmy
sounds
Bobby
like
Dale.
Talladega Nights. I'm not going to have a baby named Jimmy Bobby Dale.
Did you have, or has your mom ever shared, did she have other names that she was going to name you?
I was going to be a double name, actually.
What was it?
John Henry.
If you were a boy.
If I was a boy, John
Or was
Henry
that the
George.
other toss-up between Sally Elizabeth?
No, I was kidding. Yeah, they didn't know if I was a girl or a boy. So I was going to be Lizzie, which Sally Elizabeth. I think it was still going to be Sally Elizabeth if they were going to call me Lizzie.
It would have been my childhood dream to be named Lizzie.
Because of Lizzie McGuire.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that is exactly why I was glad I wasn't named Lizzie, was because of Lizzie McGuire.
Did you not like Lizzie McGuire? We're about to not be friends.
I was more of an Even Stevens girl.
Oh,
Ren?
I mean, I liked Even Stevens, but nothing trumped my sweet baby Hillary Duff. I love her.
I didn't love Lizzie McGuire.
Still to
I
this
watched it, but it wasn't I wasn't a loyal fan.
Oh my God. I loved her.
So
yeah, I would have loved
not.
to have been Lizzie.
Well, I almost was. I could start going by Lizzie now.
Okay, I would prefer it.
Oh, man. I got my frozen caramel. It's a good day.
How long has it been since you've had one?
11 days.
Who's counting, though? Yeah. I mean, really.
The reason I know that is because I order on my phone and it tells me the last time I had one. And I'm like, 11 days, that's pretty good.
I could take a microscopic sip of mine because I don't have a lot left.
Do you know what's funny?
What?
Earlier this year, I offended someone on social media with something I said. Surprise. And this lady sent me a mean message and she told me, she said, F you and your frozen caramel.
And this woman doesn't have any connection to you outside of social media.
And I thought, this is hilarious that you know me well enough to know I love frozen caramels. Mm-hmm. But when you're really mad at me, you don't say curse you and your children. I hate you and your family. You say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to F her and her favorite drink. That'll show her. Get me right where it hurts.
That will tear her apart. I often wonder.
So funny.
For the people who are replying to people who they don't really know, especially if you're going to insult or leave some type of, opinionated comment. What the thought process, or I guess it's a lack of a thought process, but I'm just
blind rage.
I'm like, why are you mad at someone who's not,
who you don't know?
You don't know. Mm-hmm. It's funny to me. So, because I can never imagine replying to someone and be like, hey, you know what? Screw you and screw your spaghetti that you like to make for dinner on Thursday nights. I've had enough of it.
Because people are just so rude, and we've given them permission they feel they have permission to say things. But, when I run into something I don't like on social media, I just unfollow. It never occurs to me.
Do you send the message, hey, I'm unfollowing you?
Hey, I do not like what you said to me. Mm-mm. And it was directly to me, not your millions of followers that you have. And it really offended me. And I just don't think I can continue to follow you and I want you to know why. I'm like, they don't care. Just walk away.
Oh, man.
I'm just waiting for someone to hear our podcast and say, you know what, if them in their frozen caramels. For the record, Holly doesn't like the frozen caramel. So if you're going to curse the frozen caramel, that is a direct insult against me.
Really, if anyone should be telling you choice words about you and your frozen caramels, it should be me. Because I've had enough. I've had enough of you and your frozen caramels. I thought that was
so funny. Like, of all of the things, of all of the insults.
I just don't even know that I'm the type of person, if I'm out to lunch with you and you tell me something that I don't, like if you're like, oh, we love to go out to eat on Tuesdays. And I'm like, I hate that. Why would you do that? I can't sit here and listen to you talk about something that you do anymore. And I'm not going to do that to your face. So why would I reply it online?
I think, you know what I think?
I don't know.
I think that we have a culture that is incredibly easily offended by things that ought not to offend you.
Ought not.
Mm-mm. I don't really get offended easily. And when I see people get offended or are really sensitive, I kind of go, what is it like to be your feelings hurt constantly? That's got to be so exhausting. My rule is, unless I have a personal relationship with that person, I'm not going to let what they say bother me.
I think
it doesn't matter.
If I read something, especially on the internet, and I'm offended by it, I try to stop and go, why does that offend? Why did I feel that way? And normally it's tied to something completely unrelated and has nothing to do with that person. And it means it's also time for me to shut my phone off. Go outside or something. Yeah. Make a latte. I don't know.
Some people, I mean, sometimes they're just like random internet trolls. Just people who are rude. Like, I remember you posted a reel. It was right after you were celebrating, I think Everly had her surgery and maybe she was 1. And that lady got on and just sent me like, kids have had way worse or something. You need to pull yourself together. And do you know what I did, guys? As Holly's friend, I found that lady and I reported her as spam.
Report
because she didn't know you. And I was like, how dare you come against my friend in her time of sensitivity?
That was a time of sensitivity. I do remember I had made a post about, she wasn't even 1 yet. She had just had her surgery. And I was talking about that it was kind of hard right now to just be happy and joyful about things because I felt frustrated because I wanted my baby to walk. And it was hard to go to the therapy place that we were at. And also, just to say that it has been confirmed that the therapy place we started at was a bad place.
Yeah.
So take that, Miss Canada. And she was Canadian. I don't know.
All Canadians are rude. Every single one of them. Blanket statement. Come at me. I'm just kidding.
We're kidding. We don't think that. But yeah, I had made this post and I was talking about how I had been crying more frequently, and that wasn't necessarily like me to just constantly be mopey and sad all the time. But I was working on it. And this woman went on there and was like, how terrible that your daughter has to watch you cry all the time. You're so unhealthy. She deserves better than you. I mean, it was so
really
terrible.
Personal for someone who just stumbled across your reel on the internet. It's like, good Lord, come on, people.
I just deleted it and blocked her because I was like, that was really mean.
And that's where I have to go. If I'm going to, my account on my social medias, like, okay, then I have to make sure that I'm not putting anything out there that if someone says something against it, that I don't spend my real life time thinking about that. So I'm just like, if you don't like this pillow that I made, okay.
I've got a funny story.
Tell me.
So back in the day, okay, it's got to be early 2000s. Life was different. It was a simpler time, if you will, because this is before Facebook. This is before all of the things, Instagram, all of that. My sister had an issue briefly in high school with a group of girls who were really, really hateful to her, writing terrible things in notebooks she would leave behind. Pretty sure once she like left a yearbook and they just wrote terrible things. And she was not, my sister is not an aggressive person. We're polar opposites. I can get a little aggressive.
Very aggressive.
I'm a little more aggressive. She is more just like, please no, let's just be happy. It's okay. It's okay. And so she was having these issues to the extent that my mom got involved. Okay. Now my mom can be a force to be reckoned with. Okay. My mom goes up to the school. My sister's in high school. Okay?
Yeah.
My mom goes up to school and has a meeting with the principal because she's going to tell the principal what he could do about this. And which I think this is so crazy, he recommends that my sister move schools.
Oh my gosh.
Because it was multiple girls and she was the only one with the problem. So she should probably go elsewhere. Well, that lit a bonfire beneath my mother. So my mom lets my grandmother.
Oh my gosh. This is a full family affair.
Oh, you just wait. My grandmother, for those who have been with us since the beginning, this is the grandma who secretly nicknamed me Angel Puss. Okay.
Flitting
and refers to wild women as flitting and smearing around town. Okay, this is my late grandmother. My mom tells her, and my grandma is even more aggressive of a person than I am or my mother is. So they decide, you know what? We're going to handle this. So they tell my sister, what are these girls' names? They get all of their home addresses.
Oh my gosh.
And so we're loading up the car, okay? And my sister is just begging them to not do this because she's mortified. And also she, like I said, does not want any kind of confrontation. So I will just sit and have a terrible life if it means we don't have to go address these girls. And also I wanted to go, I think I was only like 7 or 8. And I was like, I'll whoop them. I'm like, my mom says that I was like, I'll go get him, Mom. Like I was going to defend my sister. So they get in the car with a baseball bat in the trunk. Don't you mess with my family. And they drove. I just sat in the car. I never went inside any of the houses, but they drove to every single girl's home.
Yes.
To sit down and have a meeting with their family.
Wow.
To let them know what had been going on.
Yes.
And they referred to, if you do not get a handle on this.
Yeah.
We will handle it.
Do you know what?
My grandma referred to having an equalizer in the trunk, which was the baseball bat.
I have mad respect for that.
But my mom was like, you ain't gonna mess with my baby.
I have a lot of respect for that.
I always, like, looking back on it, I'm like, oh, Mom, that seemed, maybe the baseball bat was a stretch.
Yeah.
I can get behind having a face-to-face meeting with the parents. The baseball bat may have been excessive. Now, granted, they did not use it, so we do not support abuse or violence.
I will bash in a window. No, I have a lot of respect for that. And now being a mom myself, if you touch,
if you look,
my baby,
you look at my baby girl.
My mom have a similar story.
Oh,
my brother. So my oldest brother, is 16 years older than me. So guys, I need you to know this is like back in the 80s when different things flew, okay? Different things happened that were allowed in the 80s that are not allowed now. He played basketball and my brother's really tall and he was super skinny. Mm-hmm. My mom said he looked like a starving child because he was just thin.
Yeah.
And so he's in elementary school, like little. They're at a basketball game and this kid in the bleachers is yelling at Whit and making fun of him and like calling him names and all this. And my mom could not abide.
No.
So this kid was a little on the chubbier side.
Oh,
he was a bigger kid. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if it's halftime or whatever. Kid goes out, is getting a drink of water from the water fountain. My mom comes up behind him and just goes, "Laugh it up, fat boy," and walks on. And the kid stands up.
Oh my God.
And goes, "That woman just called me fat." And I was like, yes, she did.
Did you dish it out?
Did you dish it out?
Did you dish it?
There's some other stories of things my mom did that we can't say because
It would be.
It might be offensive. You guys can't even handle it.
We'll leave that one there.
But I just like, yeah, I think I would be real tempted to go do something like that too.
Well, and I think
not physical harm, just gonna cut you down with my words.
No, I even it
just psychological abuse.
I just want to give you counseling needs. It's fine.
Yeah.
I always thought that things like that were so dramatic, or even hearing stories of other parents being so defensive for their kids. And then, yeah, I had a kid and I thought anything that comes against this child will deal with even to the extent we take her to the park frequently, and we have a park close by our house. And I was there the other day, and now she's walking, but she's getting her balance down. So she's a wobbly walker. Okay. And sometimes at the park, I have an issue with people not following clear signage. Okay, this goes for being on the road. This goes for especially being at the local park. Okay, when I am on the playground that says it's for 2 to 5 years old, I don't want to see your 12-year-old on this playground.
Amen.
Okay,
I agree.
And it irritates me. So call me what you want.
So that they can play and your kid isn't running all over them. So they're little.
There's a bunch of big kids. And so I'm just kind of staying behind Everly. Because normally I'm not like helicopter mom. I don't want to patrol everything that she's doing. I want her to walk around, be free, baby. And these kids are running. So I'm watching them. And one kid decides to run and leapfrog over my child.
Oh, no.
And I snapped and I was like, hey, we're not doing that again. You go back over to that side. And I'm like getting onto this kid, and I tell Micah, and he's like, what are you doing getting on a kids at the park? I was like, well, I was hoping that maybe his mother was there and that she would like to come and talk to me about it, because you're not going to jump over my sweet little 1-year-old baby at the park because acting a fool on the 2 to 5-year-old side when I know good and well you're at least 8.
This reminds me of a time when Holly and I went to the local, this is called Discovery Lab, and we had Dot and Everly, and I had George. So they have these big, like, climbing, these tube things suspended 20 feet in the air. I could not go up because I had George. And
also there was a school
there. There was a school group. Like picture 200 third graders and then Dot and Everly and Holly. So Holly gets up there and she's going through this tube and they're crawling, and these third graders just keep running past him. And I see Holly just kind of like stick her arms out in the tube so no one could pass. And then she turns around and gets her finger. It's like, you, stop it. You wait, they're little. You're not going to go right now.
I did say this word for word.
And then like picked them up and carried them through. And then all these kids are just kind of looking at Holly. And I was just like, don't you run over our baby.
Don't you touch my baby. But also, and now granted, listen, I understand too that kids are kids.
Yes.
This is not a reflection of a mom like their moms have probably told them when there's little kids around, do not run over them. But they're at that age where they're just, when they're playing, they're in a different mindset. But I was there to bring them back to reality though. Don't you worry. I did. I stopped the whole tunnel and I was like, we will go one at a time. They're little, they're going through. And then one kid would start to go and I'm like, Probably like,
it was like Moses parting the Red Sea. Stop.
It is funny. Amazing. The older I get, and obviously just being a parent now, I'm like, am I becoming my mother?
I became my mother a long time ago.
Before kids?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What was the moment you became your mother? The
moment.
Do you recall?
Birth. The moment when I came out, they said, ma'am, this is just an extra part of you. So my mom likes to go to bed early. I also like to go to bed early. Mm-hmm. My mom is incredibly introverted. Mm-hmm. She's not shy. I think that there's a misconception that if you're introverted, it means that you're shy. It doesn't mean that you're shy. It just means that we're refreshed being in our own company and we don't really want to talk to you.
Right
now, maybe someday. But she was a homemaker and loved being home. She does cross stitch. She's an amazing cross stitcher. Mm-hmm. And I am, very like hands-on, creative, homemakey. Mm-hmm. But I'm trying to think of a specific. This is funny. So we have our bed frame is my parents' bed frame from my childhood. So
wow.
They got a new bed, and this was for their guest room. So we took the old bed. So when I was a kid, my mom had this. I'm gonna have to take a picture of it to insert into this episode because it's really funny. It's a light shade that hangs over the headboard, and it has like beads hanging down.
I like the way
tassels.
you're using your
It's real drapey.
It's real drapey.
So it was always on their bed from when I was a kid. And I remember coming in. It's in between the two spaces on the bed. So if you want to read at night, you just click on that lamp, and you don't have to turn on the big lamp.
It's practical.
Yeah, so Andrew and I are big into reading before bed, and he usually stays up and reads after I do. And I have an eye mask, but no eye mask is effective at keeping 100% of the light out. I cannot sleep if I know that he's got the light on. So I tell him, like, why don't I get from my mom's house that little overhead light thing? That way we can turn that on. We don't have to have all the lights on while we read. Won't that be great? So I bring this thing home, and I don't know what he was picturing, but not what I brought home. So I bring it in, and it's got like these beads and tassels and like lace. It's real.
I'm going to need a picture for sure.
You have never seen anything like this.
I don't think that I have.
I think it was handmade. And
Probably.
So he looks at it and he just goes, this is not what I thought you were talking about.
This doesn't work for me.
And I was sitting in bed the other night, and it was just me, and I've got the tassel light thing on.
So it's still there. You're still using it.
Yeah, because I like it.
Okay, that's fine.
And I'm sitting there, and I was just thinking, oh my gosh. And I sleep on the same side of the bed that my mom did. And I was just like, I am my mother. I'm putting on my face cream. I've got in the bed. I've got the tassel light thing on. It's 8:30. I am my mother. And that's when I almost sent a picture to my siblings of me in the bed just going, my metamorphosis is complete. I've completed. I am her now. She is me.
I am mom.
I am
mom. Is me.
Yeah. We are the same person. But yeah, that's when that was really the other day. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm my mom.
I think my realization of becoming more like my mother is more so in personality traits as opposed to, I don't think we really do much of the same thing because she is very much, I mean, they're at home in bed very early. There was a night recently that it was like 6:30 and she was like, your dad and I just went to bed. And I was like, it's
not even dark out.
6:30 p.m. What time did you guys do dinner? Did you do a 3:00 dinner? I mean, I don't understand. So can't relate much there. But definitely personality things. Or I told Micah, I said, it's so funny as a child. I always wanted to know where we were going next, no matter what we were doing. And not because I needed to know the plan. It was just like, surely we're not done yet. There's always so much more to do. And so we would go to dinner and I'd be like, where are we going next? They would be like, home. Like they're tired. They've been at work all day. We're going home. I'd be like, I don't want to go to home. I want to go to Walmart. Like I always wanted to go to a store. And I never understood when I was little, why doesn't my mom want to go to the store and just walk around for hours? I don't understand. And buy me whatever I want. I don't get it. And I'm like, oh, she was tired.
Yeah.
But I just never understood. Or I would ask, where are we going? And they would just say, HOME. And I'd be like, I don't want to go HOME. Or the least favorite would, where are we going now? We're going crazy. I'm like, I don't want to go crazy. I want to go to Walmart.
I remember getting my license and thinking, I'm going to drive everywhere. And I am just going to always want to go. I can go wherever I want.
Oh, yeah.
If anyone needs to go, I'm going to take them. And a teacher told me, you're not always going to want to drive. And I was just like, yes, I am. Me. And now I'm like, oh, God. I can't. How important is it that we have toilet paper? Do we really need that right now? I'm just gonna. I don't need to go.
I know, it is funny. I do remember right when I got my license, it was like, oh, it's go time.
Yeah.
And growing up, so my parents, as soon as I was driving, I had to pay for my gas and my insurance because
good. I didn't have to pay for anything, and I think that was a mistake.
I was upset about it in the time, but now that it's later, I'm like, oh, I am appreciative that they were like, hey, which they bought me the car. So
Yeah.
there is that. And I know that, Micah had to buy his first car. So I know that not everyone is
spoiled.
That
Spoiled.
He's a little spoiled brat. So I do remember though, after all, I was just a teenager, that I didn't anticipate how much gas would be. And so I would go drive all the way out to the mall and I would spend my money. And then I would come back home and realize I didn't have gas to get to school the next day. And then I would have to be like, okay, how do I tell my mom that I spent all of my money at once? Because at this time I was working, I worked a summer job. And so I would call her and I'd be like, oh, I need some gas money. She'd be like, well, where did your money go? I went shopping. I'm sorry. I would just cry and she'd be like, well, I guess you're going to have to ride the bus, which she never made me. But I would get to my ends of thinking, oh, I've really done it. I've blown through all my money. And she would come home after I guess she felt like the lesson had been taught. And she would put a 20 on the table and she would be like, I'm not doing this again. I'd be like, okay, I'm so sorry.
But did she?
Oh, yeah. Oh, she did again. But it's all of these things that I think, oh, man, motherhood's just getting started.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorite stories when I think back, there's a lot of silly things my mom has done. Like the time as a kid, we were in Eddie Bauer, and I remember she opened the door to leave the fitting room, and I was like, Mom. She's like, what? I'm like, you don't have on pants. And she had tried to walk out of the
Oh my gosh.
You just get into
That's
your
like my
changing
nightmare.
clothes. Yeah.
Yes.
And she totally, but anyway. So there's things I think about like that.
Mm-hmm.
But one memory in specific that makes me just go, man, I love my mom. I was a junior in high school and I ran track. And it was the first year I did it. And I worked so hard, but I was just not very good at track. But nobody outworked me. I did hurdles and I tried a whole bunch of stuff, long jump, high jump, which I was absolutely horrible at. But I worked so hard. And we got to regionals where you have to win at regionals to be able to go on to state. And I did the best run that I had ever done, 300-meter hurdles, which suck, by the way. And I just wasn't good enough. Mm-hmm. And so I was really disappointed. I had worked really hard. The only medal that I got that year was in long jump, and it was because they gave a medal to the top 5. I got 3rd place because only 3 people competed in long jump, and that was the only medal I got all year. So I go to school the next week. I was really sad. And all the kids who had made it to the state championship had on a red tie-dye t-shirt that said state qualifier.
Oh.
All these kids. So there were kids on the track team that did not get the t-shirt. And then I found out they're all invited to a dinner at the coaches.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So I'm reasonably upset. It's just another, you go to school and everyone's in a t-shirt and you don't get one. And my boyfriend walks up to me and I kind of make a frowny face and I'm frowning and he goes, what? And I was like, it's sad. I worked hard. You guys get a t-shirt.
He had a t-shirt.
He had a t-shirt. Oh yeah, he was a state qualifier.
Man, how do you date someone who has a t-shirt when you don't have a t-shirt?
Wait till you hear what he said to me.
Oh no.
So I say this and he goes, well, maybe if you would have run a little harder or something like that, to that effect. When I go back in my memories, I slapped him, but I didn't. I imagine that I slapped him. I didn't, but there was a teacher there who knew that was that's not what you say to your girlfriend.
No. Or just a person.
To a person. I was just and then I was so mad. So I had to go do some school function that day at school. My brother saw me, and I have 2 older brothers. My second brother, if something is going on in my life and I see him, instant tears. He just sees through to my soul. And so I'm just so he looks, hey Sally, and I'm just oh. So that has happened many times. So we're talking and he calls my mom and just tells her what's going on. So, cause I'm a hold it in type of a person. So I go home and I think I'm in my room and my mom came up, and you guys have to know, this is not my mom does not coddle. She's very honest. I can tell you a story of her honesty later, but She's very honest. So I went upstairs and she sat on my bed and just held me and let me cry and told me that that was not fair and that it was wrong.
Aww.
Yeah, I'm about to cry right now. And I don't have many memories like that because a lot of times my mom was like, no, you know, it was fair and you suck it up.
Sally, you suck at crying.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Stop crying. Which I have told
Do better.
Dot a couple times, like, Dot, stop crying. She's 2, but I'm like, there's no reason for you to be crying right now. In a loving way, guys. Anyway, so I remember that just being really meaningful to me, that she just like held me and listened to me. And I think about Dot is going to be a teenager someday, and how many, as a teenage girl, I don't think boys go through this as much, but I probably won't be holding George as much when he's a teenager. But as a teenage girl, just sometimes you just need someone to go, yeah, that did suck. And she did. I appreciate that so much. And even still, I'm going to be 30 this month. And I remember 16-year-old Sally just crying on my bed to my mama. Now, when I turned 18, I was drinking a lot of frozen caramels because I had broken up with that boyfriend.
Well, I mean, it was about time.
And at my birthday party, this same mother who held me while I cried pulled me aside and said, Sally, you need to start working out because you're getting a little tubby. And did I mention it was a swimsuit birthday party?
Oh, good.
It was a swim, and I was like, thanks, Mom. And I've had people go, your mom's, that sounds toxic. I was like, no.
Yeah.
She was right. I was drinking a frozen caramel every day. My jeans didn't fit anymore.
Yeah.
And I was 18. She was right. So
sometimes you just need a little
So now
honesty.
I just have one, every 11 days. Instead of every day.
I think 11 days is the magic number, though. That spaces it out just enough. Just enough that it's okay.
Yes.
You burn enough calories in between there, you'll be fine.
So it's a mix of the things I appreciate about my mom. It's a mix of honesty, love, truth, and honesty. And I just love her so much.
Thank you, moms everywhere.
Yes.
We love you all. No, I think that's the beauty of motherhood, is that it's not this one size fits all. No intention to reference your bathing suit size when you were 18.
It did not fit all.
But it's not this, there's not a perfect roadmap to follow. We're all going to mess up. We don't even have 5-year-olds yet, and we could probably tell you endless stories of times where we're like, I messed up here, I messed up there. Maybe I shouldn't have done it that way. But I'm like, even now as an adult reflecting back on my mom and the relationship that we had, I'm like, man, it's all led up to where we're at today. And so the good, the bad, the embarrassing, or the times that, she drove around her 18-year-old and her 8-year-old with a baseball bat in the trunk, and the equalizer, and her mother.
It seems like this generational rage seems to get lesser with each generation. So Everly could be normal.
Yeah, I don't know that she's going to be much of a fighter. We'll see.
She doesn't seem like much of a fighter
she's
right now.
starting to get a little bit of fire under her every now and then with her age.
When I picked Dot up from church today, they said that she was having a fight with a little girl who ironically had the same haircut as her. And I was like, did she hit her? And she's like, it was more like self-defense. And it was just like, give it to me straight. Did she hit her?
She's 2. Dot was practicing self-defense.
Well, they said that, I guess these 2 little girls, Dot and this other little girl, wanted all the same toys, but neither one of them was willing to back down. Dot's not backing down.
No, she's not.
So anyway, that's where I'm like, we're going to have to make sure. I'm worried about bullying in middle school, but not about her being bullied.
No.
About her being the bully. Just like, Dot, we do not bully.
About her telling someone, hey, why don't you stop drinking frozen caramels? I'm just trying to tell you.
Yeah. Should be brutally honest. So anyway, I would also like to say, if you are listening to this and your heart is grieved because you don't have a good relationship with your mom, that's hard. My mom has meant so much to me. I can't imagine what it would be like if that relationship wasn't there. So I just want to say that I am aware of that, and I was told once you have two chances for an opportunity with a mom. Sometimes it's the mom that you have, or the first is the mom that you have that you had no say in. But the second is when you are a mom and you can be what you wished you had to your own children. Or, I mean, even if you're an aunt or
I was going to say,
sister.
even acknowledging that sometimes the moms in our life, or like we have
Aren't
multiple,
your mom. Yeah.
multiple in the sense of like maybe it's a friend's mom
Yes.
who loved you like their own when they
Yes.
didn't have to. I think I mean, we're all mothering someone somewhere.
Somebody's mothering something somewhere.
And sometimes it's me mothering the kids at the Discovery Lab. So if that was your child, I'm not sorry.
I know.
Somebody had to do it.
I am thankful that there are opportunities for mothers that are not necessarily your biological one. So that's cool. It's cool how life works out that way and presents you with relationships that fill in the gaps for ones that you might not have had. So,
and at the time of this episode release, we just finished celebrating our mothers.
Happy
And
Mother's
hopefully
Day.
us being celebrated as well.
I better be.
I better be celebrated. I hope I get flowers. Micah's listening.
I don't really want flowers.
I love flowers.
They die.
They live.
Anyway, hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week.
Remember to subscribe to the podcast.
And follow us on Instagram.
And just, be a part of the conversation. If you've got a really funny story, maybe you're a mom and you have a funny story of something that you've done, or you have a really golden mother story of your own, something that happened to you as a child, we definitely want to hear that.
If your mom showed up somewhere with a baseball bat, please let us know.
We might be related.
All right. See ya.
Bye.